Yeah. Siege. Riley. Taz. Yeah. Set me free and give me death, there ain't no other choices. When I lay down and go to sleep, I keep on hearing voices. Little whispers in my head, man, is you fake or loyal? Find no water, death is sign, baby, pick your poison. These little demons living underneath my bed, creeping. Know the real monster lives above them all, sleeping. That subtle breathing in your closet every single evening. Thought you never see me again, looks can be deceiving. When they hear the sound of the drum, they'll be saying, oh Lord, here they come. Yeah, here we come.
We take play seriously. That's why ATK chooses Omen by HP and Windows 10.
Here we come.
All right, what's up everybody, and welcome back to some more ATK Overwatch action. It's a scuffed broadcast today. Everything that can go wrong has gone wrong, including the two teams that were meant to play today. But we've got a different matchup here in store for you. Should be a lot of fun anyways. But before we get to that, of course, my name is Sun Phoenix, and I'm joined this time not by Altruism, unfortunately, but by Blur. Welcome.
Welcome. Hello. I'm the second problem with this broadcast.
There's many problems and you are only them. But thankfully we are live now, and we're going to jump into the game in a second. But we're going to introduce our team. So it is Rage Quit Odyssey taking on Esports today. Of course, not the game we were planning to do, but these teams were ready, willing and able to be broadcast today. So we were getting a little bit more insight into the Evo Esports team. So Blur, why don't you introduce us to them, and then I'll run through Rage Quit Odyssey.
Yeah. On main tank, we're going to be looking at Maestro, an old classic within this Evo Esports team. He's been here since the beginning, which is, I think, about 2 years ago now. Main tank, so not the new Sigma skin, but, we love him all the same. Big Tuner, the off tank of Evo Esports, very consistent in this roster, and that's the kind of a theme throughout this roster. They're all very consistent. They're all, it's the same roster every week. You don't see them rotating subs very often. Cheetah Boy and Jelly Doodle. Cheetah Boy, an old Odyssey player himself, so a little bit of a grudge there. And Jelly Doodle, an old Divinity player, so a little bit of a rivalry there between him and Assassin on the other side. 420 coming from the old Vendetta. Main support known for his Lucio, which we saw very much against Vanguard on the weekend. And Space Panda, the captain and flex support player for the side.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, we did see this team playing against Vanguard on Sunday, and they did very well on 420, a key member of that team, dunking on those poor fools with his Lucio. So, moving on to the other side, Rage Quit Odyssey, we do have Quacha, aka Knoppis, I believe, on the main tank. Trigger Happy going to be running that off tank. We've seen him do very well on the Diva in the past. Hashtag Trigger Happy Bombs. Assassin JDB, you mentioned before, alongside JRV, two standouts from the Talent Cup 2019, and they've been doing pretty well on this Odyssey squad throughout the year. We've got Shadows and Fluffy rounding out the supports again. Quite a stable roster, not many changes here. They have added a few people to the roster, but this is a squad we've seen. Of course, notable in his absence is Pretz, not playing today, unfortunately. So if you're looking to see what a Reinhardt looks like in Zero Gravity, unfortunately, you will not be seeing that today. Well, I mean, you could still, but not from Pretz at least. And yeah, should be a fun game. Our first map here, Blur, is going to be Ilios. So talk us through what you're expecting to see, given we should mention that you coach both of these teams.
I'm not going to give away their trade secrets, but we are going to see some similarities between how these two play, based on the kind of systems and drills they've been through. Ilios, however, is very, very notable control map for its abundance of environmental hazards. Every single map has plentiful places to fall off the map or be booped off, and I think we'll be seeing quite a lot of that kind of approach from Evo in particular. They like to look for their environmental kills. That said, though, lots of space for versatility. You got great sightlines on Ruins, great space for environmental and spam damage on Well, which is where we'll be starting, and a little bit of both on the Lighthouse map. So coming into our first map here, we're looking at Ilios Well. Ilios Well, obviously very well known for the big pit in the middle of the point, and it's a really difficult point to actually breach because you can't really push a team if they're standing on the other side trying to pull you into the hole. You have to really look at your pathing, look at your setup. So we're probably going to see a bit of bunk here, maybe a bit of dive to kind of break down those spaces. But we'll have to see what these teams come out with.
Yeah, we will indeed. And now we get our first look at how these teams want to approach it today. We do see the double shield that you mentioned, but we do see the Pharah coming out from Assassin JDB on the side of Rage Quit Odyssey. Both teams choosing to run the Ashe and the Mercy, of course, on Odyssey to assist Assassin JDB. Support-wise, otherwise very similar, but 420 going to be reprising his role as the Lucio. So who do you think these rollouts favor here?
I think if we're looking at this team, we have to be looking at the Wrecking Ball of Big Tuna as a potential differentiation between these two sides. The Wrecking Ball, obviously a very disruptive pick, so they're going to be very much looking to deny this team space on the point by just making their lives a little bit harder. However, it's going to be a toss-up between whether the disruption can be more effective or the all-out spam, with this Pharah being, of course, a very strong asset on the side of Odyssey.
Absolutely. Two moves, moving towards the same time. Big Tuna going to get us on this ball once again, just to disrupt the Rage Quit Odyssey players just a little bit, make sure they can't get the value they're looking for. Shield battle so far favoring Evo Esports a little bit here, and that halt could end up putting a lot of damage. 420 going over the top, doesn't find anything. In fact, it's Snorkelies who finds the pick onto Space Panda and gets a nice quick follow-up onto Big Tuna's Wrecking Ball. Oh, that move almost sending a couple of Odyssey members to their grave, but smarter than that on this occasion as they look to pick up more and more kills. JRV picks himself up a double, make it a triple, as Assassin contributes the last kill potentially. Big Tuna is back in the mix now, but he really doesn't have much to offer in terms of stall at the stage, or maybe I spoke too soon, but I don't think Evo are going to win this team fight, so you have to feel like Big Tuna wasting a bit of his own time there as Rage Quit Odyssey winning the first team fight here, a bit surprisingly perhaps, Blur.
Yeah, I think, what we're looking at from the side of Odyssey there is they're just playing a very consistent comp, sitting back and waiting for their DPS to do some work. And you see that in the difference between what JRV has been able to do and Assassin's been able to do in Jelly. Jelly's really been looking for that shot in Assassin, and Assassin playing very good high cover, really not giving him the chance to look for those picks at all. So
yeah, he uses White House very effectively, sorry.
Yeah, but looking here, we really need to see Odyssey come in or Evo come in and be a little bit more effective in securing their kills quite early, and it looks like they're already doing that.
Yeah, Cheetah Boy got a nice early pulse bomb. They got rid of Fluffy's lamp and picked up the follow-up kill onto Knopis as a result. Picking up more here. Cheetah Boy popping off on the Tracer, and it's going to allow Evo to switch the point in their favor. Of course, Odyssey now playing on Evo's watch here. They're just going to have to back out. A bit of a soft team fight win, but it gets the job done, Blur.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the next fight here, as much as this is a loss for Odyssey, you look at their ult bank here, and they're going to come in with nearly all of their ults. There's at least 4 ults online for them here, versus just the minefield and potentially the window on the side of Evo. So, all things considered, that first fight's still coming back to haunt Evo a little bit if we're looking at how this match has progressed, or this match has progressed.
Potentially, yeah. JRV gets that pick onto Cheetah Boy, gets rid of the guy who really opened it up in the previous team fight for Evo. You still see 420 over the top here, looking to make something happen as Bob firing away on the point, flies off now back to his home planet, and hopefully that would have bought the space. Oh, the ultimate in the backline. Cheetah Boy has moved on to the Echo now, and immediately gonna go down. Assassin JDB gets rid of his opposite number. Big Tuna mixing it out here. This is a pretty Odyssey favorite team fight, but I don't know. Oh, JRV, oh no, gets pooped off 420. Once again coming in clutch for Evo Esports, and I think that might have been done enough to allow Esports to come back and retake here. Big Tuna, he's still attached, he bounces his way back up and shatters on down. He's doing such a good job disrupting them. They do flip the point though, but Jerry Doodle, as I say that, probably setting up Evo for an immediate retake here as he picks off 2 all by his lonesome, and yeah, the flip comes through and Odyssey gonna have to go back to spawn and think about how they approach the next one.
Yeah, and that's actually, it looks like really fantastic play there from Evo, just to they know they're losing the fight, so they just play it subtle, play it careful, don't overcommit any ultimates, and then 420 looks for those picks. He waits for Odyssey to get complacent, and then, punishes them for their complacency. Coming into this next fight here, with the Bob, the Beats, the Window, and the Minefield and Supercharger going to be online for Evo, the Odyssey's going to have to play this very carefully.
Sorry, I'm muted. I'm not muted anymore. Lots of ultis happening there. Most recently, the bongos coming out from Maestro, and I mean, I don't know what letter and number I'd associate with that one, Blur, but it seems pretty clear to me at this stage.
Yeah, I think, it's just a little bit of lapse of concentration there from Odyssey. And Evo, once they really took control, other than the little point flip that they had midway through the second fight, you really look at their playstyle there and say they were very much in control. They very much had the dominance on that point. Looking forward here, you really think Odyssey, they need to get their target focused right. They need to get their kind of pressure in a kind of straightforward way so that they can get back into this game. They played a really nice first fight, played their comp really well to engage the point, and then they just kind of let it slip from there. After they lost the point, they never really looked like they were going to gain it back. So coming into the Lighthouse map, a map where you're possibly seeing a couple more different strategies come out. Evo already looked like they were drifting onto the dive, where they were quite secure on that bunker in that first map. But where you're looking at Odyssey, we haven't seen any switches yet. So we'll possibly still see switches coming through, but we really, really need to see them start to break down what Evo are trying to do a little bit better. Punish Big Tuna for getting through their team like that. Make sure that 420 doesn't have the capability to punish them when they get their positioning slightly wrong. And it has to be said, it's just great awareness from Evo to play that point out like they did.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like they're going to do more of the same here in terms of that disruptive play. Coming in with a dive. Now, we saw them run this against Vanguard to great effect, but I think Rage Quit Odyssey, perhaps a little bit more of a higher caliber team, at least on paper, so maybe they'll be able to deal with it a little bit better than Vanguard were. Vanguard ended up really running the mirror into them, and it didn't seem to work that well, and to be honest, they never really dealt with it until they switched composition on the side of Evo. So looking pretty solid for Evo here. Both teams running the pharmacy, so I'd see a bit of a dogfight in the sky here, and it's going to come down to who the better Farah is, perhaps. On the ground, though, it's opposite tanks. Jelly Doodle finds the first pick onto JRV, so nothing to do with the Farah in the sky now, but Assassin gets the return onto Jelly Doodle. Cheetah Boy, though, uncontested, gets rid of Fluffy, and Maestro with that follow-up pick onto Shadows probably secures Evo a first point capture here. Resurrection onto Jelly Doodle, gonna seal things, I'd have to expect, as they force Rage Quit Odyssey back towards spawn.
And it's just, you need to be looking at the Evo comp here and thinking, they're probably not going to get a lot of value from this. Soldier's going to be shooting shields. So we need to play this quite defensive. We need to play this quite careful and really punish their tanks when they come in. And they didn't do that in that fight. They took out Jelly Doodle, but the fact that they took out Jelly Doodle was ultimately ineffectual in the fight, considering how little value he was having other than picking out something that was out of position. So they need to play their positions carefully, and they need to start punishing Evo for playing the way they are.
That is very true as they move in now. That's a big anti-heal. Space Panda coming in clutch once again. A hero and a combination we know very well for. But as I say, that Assassin JDB gets the first pick onto Maestro. So that might just open things up for Rage Quit Odyssey. But this is a slow composition, Blur. Not one that can move to point very quickly. But they are on point. And once they get there, Assassin JDB decides, you know what? I did my job. You guys don't need me anymore. He eats himself off the map. But thankfully, a Rage Quit Odyssey gonna pick up a retake here.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at Assassin JDB, maybe thinks they needed a chance there, needed the opportunity to get back into that round. But, from Odyssey there, it's a good adaptation, switching in the McCree to make sure that they can punish out the Farah and punish out the tanks when they come in, switching to the Tracer to really pressure Space Panda a little bit more, switching to that Brig to really stop the dive from being effective. So if you're looking at Evo here, you may be thinking, we need to get into some strong angles. We need to make sure that we don't overcommit to these fights, and maybe then they can start to look at taking this fight back.
Well, significant commitment here from Evo. Jelly Doodle pops his ulti, gets a quick 2. Lots of damage coming through from that soldier, and the monkey angry on the point, making quick work of the Rage Quit Odyssey squad. They do manage to even things up percentage-wise, but Evo now firmly in control of proceedings once again.
And you think maybe, they're used to ults, we can come in next fight with a little bit of an advantage, and they do have a bit of an advantage, but with 4 ults left in the bank for Evo still, you have to say it's a really well-managed fight. Coming into this fight, Odyssey need to be considering how do they slow down the fight, because they'll win the long fight with the damage mitigation of the double barrier, but they have to be making sure that they do get the opportunity to mitigate that damage, and it really looks like they're shutting them down with a big barrage coming out from Cheetah Boy.
Yeah, that's making pretty quick work of Rage Quit once again. Cheetah Boy got the nano boost, popped the barrage over the top, and Odyssey really had nothing to deal with it. Coming to the next team fight though, Blur, lots of blue lots of shiny blue on the side of Rage Quit Odyssey. They've got quite a bit of ultimates to work with going forward.
However, looking at the banks, the ultimates they actually have in the bank, the one you're really looking to stand out here is the Supercharger. The Bradley would have been the other one, but it actually just went down to early pick up space kind of from Assassin JDB.
Yeah, very nice work once again from the Tracer. They have to touch point, 92%, can't afford another C9. Okay, they are on point now, and they have picked up. Maestro is so low, needs to get topped up as Big Tuna dropping low on the point as well. Most ultimates committed here for Rage Quit Odyssey and haven't really found the picks. Finally coming through here, courtesy of JRV and Shadows, but Trigger Happy forced, or at least he felt so, to commit his ulti towards the end of that, leaves them with nothing in the bank going forward.
Yeah, and I mean, if they manage to get out here, Evo will be looking at this next fight with quite a lot of hope in their eyes. You know, the Primal have been very effective for them in the first retake of this point, and the Rocket Barrage from Cheetah Boy has also been quite an impactful ultimate for them. And considering the amount of control that Odyssey are giving them in approaching this point, you wouldn't be surprised to see those ults get similar effect again.
Yeah, not a great composition for stopping them from getting that control, but that's a great way to start things off. Forcing the rest out, and JRV with an immediate follow-up onto Jelly Doodle is going to force Evo back before the fight really even starts. Now they've only really got one opportunity to approach this one.
And there needs to be a little bit more discipline there from Evo. Yeah, yes, they want to get into the fight quickly, but they have to make sure that they don't leave their Ana behind. They don't stay in stupid positions. And that was the situation where they put themselves at a really big risk to try and get an engagement there.
Speaking of big risk, Maestro, a risky movement forward there. He did use the Primal Rage to keep himself healthy and get towards overtime on the point, but now it's Rage Quit Odyssey in control of proceedings this time as they take down two members of Evo, make that 4 in quick succession, and now they're just oh my god, Shadows and Cheetah Boy were coming together here to get rid of Space Panda, and Rage Quit Odyssey have shown up today. We've got a game in our hands.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good adaptation from what we saw in the first half, the first round. The first round, we were really saying that Evo looked like they were in control, and Odyssey weren't really countering what was making their comp work. But there, they slowed down the fights. They punished Evo's mistakes, and they started to work a little bit into what they want to be doing as a win condition. From the side of Evo, however, you really need to be seeing them, start to consider what their switches are to work against the comp they're playing. I was quite surprised to see them stick on that soldier for so long, especially considering they're playing against Elbaria and Ashe or a Hanzo, would probably gotten a lot more effect than the soldier was able to. Coming into this fight though, this round though, it looks like almost a mirror, but instead of the Widowmaker on the side of Evo, we have, instead of the Hanzo on the side of Odyssey, we have the Tracer again.
Yep, very interesting difference in composition there. Not the Hanzo, not the most popular hero at the moment, it has to be said, but Jelly Doodle, we're gonna get a sense of how he feels on the hero here as the teams move towards each other. That halt could be key, lots to combo with that, but nothing going down just yet. In fact, it's Assassin finds its way into the backline, gets rid of Cheetah Boy, and JRV uses that opportunity to take down the main healer of Evo Esports. So again, RQ Odyssey, oh, that boop off the point, nice for the outcharge there for Shadows, but it's not gonna help them secure this team fight because that was pretty much in the bag. Evo on the back foot here to begin things.
This Tracer's a thorn in Evo's side right now, and you really need to be considering how do we adapt to this Tracer, because this Tracer's been something that's been harassing them the entire round, and the answer to that seems to be to switch the Echo. The Echo, though, a really risky move considering what we're looking at on the side of Odyssey. We're looking at that Widowmaker JRV getting really good effect in that first fight. So if the Widowmaker is able to keep that type of effect, they're going to have a really difficult time even getting into this fight. Jelly switching onto the McCree here as well, which is quite surprising.
Yeah, they've switched Maestro onto the Rhine as well, so a lot more aggressive look here from Evo Esports. So getting aggressive now, and immediately Maestro finding the target he needed to there. Fluffy gonna hit the deck here, and it's gonna come up to the DPS of Rage Quit Odyssey to make things happen for their team, but unfortunately that anti-heal critical from Space Panda gonna allow the team Evo to get the picks they need and recap the point at 45%.
And the fight's looking very sweaty from Evo Esports here. They're coming super aggressively and actually shut down Odyssey really well. But looking at their health pools that entire fight, it's just so stressful seeing them play this aggressive brawl into this. It's, a shot here, an ability here, and it could have swung in the opposite favor. So I don't think Odyssey will be too despondent about the way that fight progressed, especially considering you're about to have your Flux and Bongo online, as well as your Rally, as well as this Pulse Bomb, which Assassin has shown he's been able to get early picks in these fights and really swing the fight before they even start.
Yeah, could end up being a key ability here as we move into this team fight. Bongo almost up, as you mentioned. Trigger Happy coming up on his ult. You see Maestro though found the huge lamp. Gonna leave his team very healthy, and Maestro gonna have to back off without really getting any damage down. Or as I say that though, gets forward again, nice and aggressive. But once again, the pulse bomb getting paid dirt here. A good ultimate from Lucio, gonna prevent Trigger Happy's ultimate from getting too much value there. But at the end of it all, after an explosive team fight, it looks like Rage Quit Odyssey once again stamping their authority on proceedings again, as they look to flip the point at about 60%.
And again, it's just a situation from EO that you think maybe, we need to play a little bit more careful when we know they have the ultimates. We need to, Maestro needs to maybe be in a little bit more of an open position so we can get that heal angle on him. But he goes in there, gets the nano to try and keep him alive, and still manages to die before the beat comes down. So, either from 420 we need to see that beat held, or we need to see Maestro just play those corners a little bit smarter.
Oh, speaking of ultimates here, Big Tuna commits his, but the lamp once again coming in clutch there, going to keep Rage Quit Odyssey fairly healthy. They are dropping low though. Space Panda once again with a good anti-heal, but we'll have to wait and see if Evo have the follow-up here. And so far, it looks like things are getting drawn out, and when it gets drawn out, that gives Jeremy the opportunity to get the picks he needs to. He does just that, but a quick return, a triple for Evo. Going to make sure that they don't get too comfortable on the point for the side of Odyssey. Adaptive circuits there, gonna make Cheetah Boy into a tracer. Decides he wants to show Assassin how it's done, and he's gonna do just that, or at least help his team to secure themselves the point. But 95% on the clock for Odyssey here.
And I think, if you're Odyssey, you're maybe thinking, let's just play this one slow. Let's make sure we get this fight in the bag. Even if we end up using the last 40% to even touch point, it will be worth, because we can bait out the Deadeye, not really struggle against that. We can bait out the Shadow, not really struggle against that, and everything else is a little bit far off for Evo at this stage of the fight.
Well, not the slow push you were hoping for. They commit the bomb straight off the bat. Jelly Doodle immediately gets the kill onto JRB. The pulse bomb, though, onto Maestro, nets the kill onto Panda, and now Odyssey can move forward following a kill onto Big Tuna. Can they find what they need to? Yes, they can. Another pick, and Evo suddenly on the back foot here. It's just Lucio on the point, and he's taken down. Quick sticks by Assassin JDB, and with that, Odyssey should secure themselves the point. No, okay, Big Tuna once again on the ball, makes his way onto point and secures overtime here for Evo Esports. Does the team have the follow-up? Big Tuna does end up dropping quite early. Maestro barely touches point and immediately is lifted off the once again. Courtesy of Trigger Happy's ultimate, he finds himself a spare kill onto Space Panda. Cheetah Boy gonna hit the deck, courtesy of Trigger Happy's big old balls once again, and it looks like Rage Quit Odyssey gonna start us off with a bit of an upset here as they take map once against Evo.
Well, I mean, it's just a situation where Odyssey played their comp, they played it well, they knew what they were trying to accomplish, and they did. Evo, you could see they didn't look comfortable playing against that comp. They didn't look comfortable playing against that Tracer especially, and they didn't make the adaptive switches they really needed to engage those fights against them. They decided to keep on that Ana despite them struggling to maintain the Ana in the longer fight where the Tracer was pressuring them. They struggled to really maintain that Ryan when he pushed in too aggressively and wasn't able to win immediately. And it's just the story of what we saw in the latter two rounds of that game, is that Odyssey sat back, waited for the fight to happen, because they knew that they were able to win it out by just playing their game and playing it smart. Evo really struggling to adapt to Odyssey's Ash Tracer comp, and that's going to be something we're going to see consistently throughout the series. I think now Odyssey have noticed a little bit of a gap in Evo Esports' armor. It's something they're going to try and exploit as much as they possibly can. So it's up to Evo Esports now to really try and compensate for that, to really try and remedy that situation. Possibly, looking at that Brigitte as a potential solution, but then they have to win the neutral fight, and even then, it looked like they weren't winning that.
It did look like they just had Evo's number there, and this is now becoming a bit of a tale that we can follow for the rest of the leg, basically, because we're going to see a lot more Evo, so we're going to get a sense of what works for them and what doesn't. And it seems they seem much more comfortable on the dive, but they struggled a little bit in that double shield mirror matchup, and we saw once it didn't work for them on the first push out, they switched it up. What's the logic behind that? Are they not comfortable? I mean, if anyone could tell us, it's probably you. But what was the rationale for switching up the comp the way they did without really even giving the double shield an opportunity on that?
I think it may have been less about not thinking the double shield or they can win the double shield battle, and more thinking that their strengths lie with the brawl. That they think that probably their strengths lie versus Odyssey in putting them under pressure and really trying to make them like struggle against that. But it's something that kind of backfired, because you saw Odyssey kind of settle into a game, kind of settle into a bit more of a counter-attacking mentality, where they would wait for Evo to commit, and Assassin would get behind them and look for pick. JRV would be on the angle trying to look for damage, and even the fights that Evo won didn't look convincing because there was so much damage coming back at them. So I think for Evo, they're going to have to try and realign their win conditions, or at least realign how they play it. There's a lot of abilities that have been misused from the side of Evo, and there's, we've seen some positioning issues where we don't usually. We've seen Jelly get too aggressive. We've seen Space Panda standing out in the open get shot by the Widowmaker of JRV in that double barrier matchup. So we maybe think that they need to we should maybe be looking at them, maybe need to just fix like some micro issues to really put themselves in better positions in this half.
So we are moving on to Dorado here. Now teams have quite a lot of options for how they can run this. We've seen Evo specifically do very well with the dive on this map, especially on that first point. Do you think we're likely to see them lean on that a little bit more here, or do you think they're going to have to switch their own compositions and go out of their comfort zone to beat Rage Quit Odyssey?
I think I'd be very surprised to see them not play the dive here. I think historically, knowing how strong they are on the dive on Dorado, we're expecting them to immediately pick it out and try and go for broke here. But from the side of Odyssey, we maybe see them lean on this double barrier again. Shadow is showing specific or particular proficiency on the Brigitte, and shutting down the ability of Maestro and Tuna to engage effectively. So I think they probably lean into the double barrier here. Evo probably leans the dive, and we'll see how those two interact going forward here.
Should be a fascinating matchup to see unfold, and as you say, we do see Evo running that dive. Talk to me about this Echo from Cheetah Boy. We've seen him try it a couple of times and against Vanguard. So what is Evo seeing in this hero that other people aren't? Because really nobody else is putting much attention to the Echo.
Well, I mean, we saw at a pro level, we saw Echo be very effective for quite a bit before she was banned in the 2 weeks leading up to the SummerSlam. So a lot of the kind of thought process going into Echo is that she's nothing about her has changed. Nothing about her has gotten weaker. So the things that have gotten stronger about a hero like Genji, who was the one that took her place, is something that really leaned into Genji's strengths to punish out of position characters. But the neutral fight with Echo is still incredibly strong, and Sombra as a hero, as accompanying to that, is incredibly strong in terms of farming up that very, very high value ult. So we'll see if they're able to make it work on this map here.
We will see indeed. I think Big Tuna are going to get D-Mech there. Really nice combination of abilities from Rage Quit Odyssey. Going to make sure that the Mecha isn't able to get much value here at the first time of asking. At least Fluffy gets rid of the Baby Diva as well. So looking pretty good for Rage Quit Odyssey on the first hold. But Evo are going to get a little bit of movement on the card here.
I think they're looking to kind of farm up these ultimates a little bit, especially getting Jelly into a position to do some farming and getting Maestro. Maestro loves diving this first point and building up that primal really quickly. So he's going to be trying to get that kind of ultimate as a win condition to this first approach, I think. Yeah,
so far so good for him. Like you say, building that ultimate up nice and quickly, already up to 80%. It's probably gonna get all the way to 100 here on this latest jump. And yeah, there it is, Primal Rage popped now, and you can start really disjointing the Rage Quit Odyssey squad. No kills yet for Evo, but they're looking good, moving the car through nice and quickly through that very difficult choke. Cheetah Boy finally gets the opening pick for the red squad, but with Big Tuna going down, things aren't quite in their favor just yet, as Knorpes finds one, Assassin another, and Fluffy with the third. Immediately a change of fortunes here as Rage Quit Odyssey stamp the authority on this team fight and force Evo back into spawn.
I mean, looking at that type of fight though, we are looking at a situation where they used one ultimate, and that lets Cheetah Boy get a lot of space to build up his. That lets Jelly get a lot of space to build up his. And coming into this fight, the Primal Rage is fairly disposable in that sense. It's just a bunch of extra health and some disruption. But the EMP, that's a fight-winning ult. That's a fight ultimate that you're saying, okay, no cooldowns, okay, no ultimates. This is something that we can kind of open up. And given all the free push they got as a result of that Primal Rage, it's maybe something you're looking at to really open up this fight and put them in a position to win. this first point.
I think that could end up being critical here, but they're playing into a lot of ultis on the other side. So while a big ultimate from Jelly Doodle could of course neutralize all of that, it still has to be quite a big ulti. They're getting aggressive now on Evo. Both tanks moving forward with Assassin JDB once again coming in clutch for Rage Quit Odyssey. He finds 420 very early, and they don't even give Jelly Doodle an opportunity to come in, but they did commit 2 ultis there, both DPS dropping their ultimates down, and that allows Jelly Doodle some space to move into the backline here as well.
And I'm not really sure why they chose not to go with the EMP in that fight. They must be possibly looking at the EMP bomb as a potential ult combination to really win them the next fight. But Fluffy, you can see already trying to back out, put a little bit of cover between him and his tanks, and maybe get that immortality field out to make sure that's not able to be effective. Whether that's ends up being the case or not, but we can already see Jelly Doodle posturing to look for that EMP. The duplicate's, of course, also an ultimate that could have a lot of impact in this fight.
Oh, I was just about to say, Assassin JDB looking quite aggro there in the backline, and Big Tuna going to make sure that no more shenanigans can occur. That's a big EMP, hits 3, and the bomb finds the kill onto Knorpies there, gets rid of a couple of buildings as well, but there's still a few heroes healthy here. On the point, JRV finds a pick onto Maestro with Shadow's help, but the rally comes out and allows them to push forward now. Rage Quit Odyssey, they've weathered the storm here, Blur. They survived the EMP, they survived the bomb, and now it looks like they might survive the Echo Ultimate as well. This duplicate not gonna get anything. Cheetah Boy gonna have to run back empty-handed, and with 30 seconds on the clock, Rage Quit Odyssey are in firm control.
Oh, and Odyssey also stalling out Big Tuna a little bit at the end of that fight to make it a little bit more difficult for him to, get back in time. And as it is, he's probably gonna have to switch onto that Wrecking Ball to even touch. It's just a little bit of mismanagement of the mid fight for Evo. Maestro getting too aggressive and getting picked off, and 420 not really finding value on this Brigitte to really give his team an opportunity in this game.
Oh, hack onto Fluffy here, so no lamp for the time being as the Rage Quit Odyssey backing off a little bit here. They need to be careful not to give too much space away and allow Evo to get the free cap. Knorpies is all by his lonesome here, Bob. Gonna move forward and touch the point. I believe they capped. They did cap. So unfortunately, after such a great 3-minute, 4-minute hold from Odyssey, they give the point away a little bit freely.
And I wouldn't actually even be surprised to see Evo maintain their Wrecking Ball play in the second point here, because it's been so impactful to try and open up that fight. And they've struggled so much to dislodge Odyssey. They struggled so much to get Odyssey in a position where they can really get impact. The only value that, as I said, the Diva gets switched back in.
He was close to ulti as well, so I'm surprised he went for that.
I'm especially surprised considering how impactful he was in that fight on the Wrecking Ball. But coming forward here, we've got that EMP back online, and I think maybe that's how they choose to initiate this fight. So you probably see him use that Translocator to get up there and then open up the dive opportunity for Maestro over here.
Yeah, well, here they go. That pulse bomb looked very good. Oh, but the EMP popped on top of everyone. Rage Quit Odyssey didn't really stand much of a chance, but as I say, that Fluffy gets the kill onto Jelly Doodle, making sure he didn't get away with that for free. He finds another one. Fluffy coming in clutch for his team trigger happy. We know him for his bombs, but the Gravitic Flux doing huge work for the side of Rage Quit Odyssey as they secure a very important teamfight win, it has to be said.
Yeah, I think what Odyssey are doing that we're seeing them do very well is they're baiting the fight into an area that's easy for them to fight. Even if it means they only get one fight on a point, making sure that they can fight in a position that lets them waste time, that lets them get some time on the bank, puts them in a position where it's really, really difficult for them to for Evo to actually re-engage. We saw that in the first point where they had to engage on that fountain, which was really, really tough. And now here, they're really far back. They're really, sitting in a position that's very entrenched and very difficult to even dive on.
Yeah, you can see immediately Big Tuna got a little bit out of position there on the dive, a little bit out of sync with Maestro, and they drop one by one, and you need those two to be working in tandem, and you need not to lose Assassin JDB either, so that might open things up here for Evo moving forward. But yeah, Evo's struggling here, and again, down to 20 seconds.
Yeah, I think, looking into this next fight, you're probably going to see a DPS switch in the duplicate here, because you may be thinking we could use this Ashe, we could use this Dynamite, get that Bob up really quickly. A 7th man in the fight could be what we need to break this open.
Well, there is a Bob, but it's the original Bob, or at least the original Ashe's Bob, as she looks to open things up for her team here. But the can opener really in the situation is Maestro with that Primal Rage, but unfortunately, Rage could have picked up a double in return. So after a good start again from Evo, this drawn-out fight again favoring Rage Quit Odyssey as they pick off another. Cheetah Boy gets the kills he needs to, finds a second, so things are evening up here. It's 3v2 on the point, make that a 3v 2 still. Oh, that pulse bomb gonna make short work of Cheetah Boy. Great job from the Tracer player once again, and Big Tuna not able to get back onto point, and Evo not able to grab themselves that second point.
And it's a lot of work now for Evo to do. A lot of work for Evo to do holding these first 2 points. Because the first point, you're expecting if you don't hold them by that bridge, they're gonna get through and they're gonna be able to push most of second. Second, not renowned for the amount of defensibility it has in comparison to what you would be looking at on the third point, which is very claustrophobic, very hard to push. And so for Evo here, you're thinking, we need to make sure that we make this first engagement count. Where we're gonna try and stall this payload in the corner with our dive. We're gonna try and stall this payload and make it difficult for them to just get space. We need to make it last 2-3 minutes. We need to make sure we're playing good ults against the side of the bunker, which Odyssey have shown a very good willingness to run. They've shown a very good willingness to exploit Evo's inability to break them down. And if Evo keeps struggling to break them down, they can win. They just win off their own merits, instead of on the merits of, them being able to counter what Evo's throwing at them. And that's very much a situation you want to be in. You want to be the team that has the win condition. You want to be the team that their win condition is just play our game. And that's really the situation, which is very different to the previous matches we've seen between these two. Odyssey look very, very in control comparatively right here.
And we have seen these two teams play a lot. This is, in fact, their third match they've played, and we've watched both of the other two on both occasions. It was a 3-1 to Evo Esports. So Odyssey not actually used to being in the driver's seat for the most part against Evo, and looking to take their first win. If they do manage to do so, that'd be pretty good for them. Oh, Maestro though, that's a good start for Evo. They get that opening pick onto JRV, and now they can just play this game, jump up and down, stay on the high ground, and only touch point for a moment. But Space Panda once again, Blur, you mentioned it earlier, dropping at the beginning of these team fights is not a good way to set your team in a good position for them to retake or hold here. 420 gonna have to burn the resurrection to make sure that Evo has all 6 in the mix here. As Big Tuna getting nice and aggressive here onto the pharmacy, but that's kind of okay with them. They're kind of just controlling the air for now. Oh, but as I say, that Cheetah Boy finds himself in position, but Trigger Happy quick on the draw with the big old rock, and he finds the pick. 420 kind of left adrift at sea there as Farah was no longer in the fight, but there's still tanks in the backline, so Evo doing a good job of buying themselves a little bit of time and space for their teammates to come back. But with the dropping of both tanks, it looks like Rage Quit gonna be able to push themselves on through this difficult choke and allow them, or force Evo to come into a very difficult fight here.
It's just, we're just looking at a situation where Odyssey putting themselves in a really, really good position here. As much as there was a fight that wasted a bit of time, 1.5 minutes for a first point push means they're going to have about 5 minutes on the clock here for the second point, unless Evo are able to pull this fight out of the bag.
Well, they could well do that with the Primal Rage once again from Maestro here, breaking them up. But Assassin gets the pick onto the enemy Farah. That's what you want to see. You want to see a Farah winning that Farah v Farah, and he gets the follow-up onto 420, so no res available. And Shadows, he's not in the same boat. He brings JRV back, and Assassin in the backline finds 2. Jelly Doodle had committed the tactical visor, so taking that down in a moment's notice like that is a pretty good spot for Rage Quit Odyssey to be in. And with that punch on to Maestro, they'll secure themselves the first point with 4.5 minutes on the clock.
And we can't even say that it looks like Evo particularly played well for making sure that Odyssey were able to burn their ultimates in that fight. Because looking at the ultimate banks, they still have that supercharger online, they still have that window, and they still have that flux online, and all of those ults are incredibly good against the brawl that they're going to be coming out into in the second point. Especially with the soldier not really getting value with the tactical visor, not really getting the neutral value of taking the Farah out of the sky, you really need to be looking at that as something that needs to swap. And we need to be looking at their ultimates and saying, maybe we need to be playing a little bit more disciplined, because this has been a very, very messy half so far.
Oh, that's a good start though. Trigger Happy getting a taste of his own medicine there as he gets removed, courtesy of Big Tuna's self-destruct. Then finally, Evo securing themselves a team fight win. They're gonna be able to stop the momentum of Rage Quit Odyssey here, and that was pretty solid team fight win.
Yeah, and all things considered, one ultimate used there, pretty good trade in terms of value, and Space Panda actually playing this Moira so that she can follow Maestro a little bit more aggressively in these fights. And I think this is a good switch, because it means even if Odyssey decides to switch onto the Tracer, it's going to be really difficult for the Tracer to have the same value it would have against Diana. But still, we're looking at Jelly Doodle on this soldier, and I'm really starting to think we need to switch it up. And the pharmacy doesn't really fit super nicely with the brawl.
Not really, but I mean, if you're going to throw a barrage like that, you'd be happy to have it. Wouldn't throw that in the bin for no reason, but it still looks pretty good for Odyssey here. Big Chino dropping down once again early, and that leaves Maestro a little bit in the lurch here. He does have a Coalescence on his back as Jellydoodle commits attack visor. Good pick, gets rid of Shadow, so no resurrection and no help for the Pharaoh, but Assassin JDB wants to get rid of Jellydoodle, and he does so, and they're losing heroes on the front line, so all of a sudden it all falls apart for Evo Esports, and once again a slow, controlled, disciplined team fight is going to net Rage Quit Odyssey a lot of movement on the point here.
It's just so strange. This transitional comp taking too long to actually transition to what it wants to be, and that means that now Odyssey, you know, coming in with what they want to do with their ult economy, and it's do or die now for Evo. If they don't win this fight, the map is over. And 2 minutes left on the clock. If Odyssey lose it, they still have time. They can still build it up and play it slowly.
Yeah, Evo have to play perfectly here, and this is not perfect play when you lose 2 people right off the back. Maestro did commit his ultimate early, but didn't find anything. His 420 goes down, no res back as Shadows brings Knoppies back into the fight. The Bob gonna execute Jellydoodle with the help of Knoppies, and Evo gonna go down 2-0 here to Rage Quit Odyssey. This is not how we were expecting things to play out, Blur.
No, that's definitely not what you want to see. You don't want to see Evo dropping the second map based on the fact that they're just getting stuck on transitioning comps. They get stuck in transitioning comps, and then something like a Pharaoh is able to just absolutely punish the chaos in this team. You know, the Pharaohs are going to be a very consistent fixture in the team fights because of the ability for her to play at hard angles with the pocketed Mercy. And we just saw Assassin doing so much work based on the absolute lack of countering we saw from him in the later stage of that half. You know, we still had these weird DPS coming out from Evo. They had the Echo and the Soldier playing against a bunker comp where they're really struggling to even get into the fight. So we maybe need to see them coming with a little bit more aggression. Maybe a Mei, maybe a Reaper if they want to play this style of play. But we need to see them do something a little bit different to what they are here, because what they're doing here is absolutely not working. They're getting absolutely outplayed on the ground and not in the air from Odyssey right now, and that's just a level of control you just can't afford to give up.
Yeah, absolutely. Evo moving in on the back foot here. Unfortunately, we are going to head into a short 2-minute break, and Evo are going to have to use that time to think about how they beat Odyssey in the past. What did it take to overcome this team? Odyssey sitting pretty here, but we'll be back in just a moment, guys. Don't go anywhere. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Do not adjust your TV screens, your curved 144 hertz gaming monitors. You are seeing things correctly unless Pete just made a mistake because I'm not actually looking at the screen. Rage Quit Odyssey is 2-0 up on Evo here. An unexpected result. My name is Sun Phoenix and I'm joined by Blur. And Blur, during the break, I had the privilege of talking to Evo Esports' coach. And he suggested that they're not playing the strats they practice. They're trying to do some fancy-ish here. So Blur, tell me, I know you're not that familiar with this team or their coaching staff, but any insight you can give to what Evo usually does and what's not working for them?
Well, again, I'm not gonna out their strategies because I don't know them because I'm so unfamiliar with this team. Of
course. I can only ask you for speculation.
Yeah, but speculating, what we might be seeing is we might be seeing them play, like, be more willing to switch quickly if they're going to switch, and more willing to switch to play aggressively. And what we're seeing from the side is that they almost look hesitant to engage fights, and switching onto the comp that we saw from them in that second point on Dorado, where we saw the Reinhardt and the Diva, but still the Pharah and the Soldier. We're really seeing them struggle to effectively decide what's worth keeping and what's not. And what we saw in those fights is we saw them, kind of use the assets that they had in a way that didn't really benefit them gaining any space or wasting any time. And as those two things were the things that Odyssey were after, it came into a situation where Odyssey were able to really just claim the advantage and play exactly their game at their pace and just walk it home, basically. 2 minutes left on the clock, not thinking, well, that was a particularly close game at all. Into Hanamura now, we're really going to have to see Evo start to be a little bit more economical with the way they use their time and the way they decide what's worth keeping and what isn't, almost a little bit ruthless. We're seeing them not be ruthless and not executing in the way that, they've practiced and they know how to. And it's a completely different Evo to what we've seen in previous games. We see them being very, very assertive, very, very present in every team fight, and that's really what we need to see them bring out in this game. We need to see them, even if they're going to run strats that aren't exactly, the double barrier meta we've been seeing in Overwatch League, we need to see them running them a little bit more confidently. And I think that's something they will have discussed in the break and might be bringing out in the 2CP map we are seeing come up now.
We are looking down the barrel of a reverse sweep here if Evo is going to take things. And I'd like to just highlight Rage Quit Odyssey. We're kind of looking through the lens that Evo presents us because they are the team who I think needs to respond and make some changes going forward. Rage Quit Odyssey don't have to change anything, but they've been doing such a good job, specifically with their DPS, finding space to get the kills they need to and staying alive in positions where they're under a lot of pressure. Of course, that's thanks in no small part to the tanks and the supports. And I'd like to shout out Shadows here on the Brigitte. He's been doing such a good job of keeping his team alive and getting aggressive when they need him to, for the most part. Looking at the squads here, Blur, we see the Genji coming out of Cheetah Boy. We don't see this enough, and Jelly Doodle once again on the Sombra.
Yeah, so we're going to be seeing a little bit of an ult synergy here. The Nano Blade and the EMP Bomb, both very impactful ults, especially against Bunker. So I think we're going to be seeing them rely on that a little bit as they kind of win con these fights. And that could be very effective against Odyssey. You see them running the Mercy to pocket the Ashe here. Without the defensive ult of a Zen or the disruption of Brigitte, Dart's going to have a lot more space to get in aggressively at this Bunker here.
And they are doing just that, getting in nice and aggressively here. Big Tuna finds the opening pick onto the enemy main tank, but an immediate double coming out from the DPS of Rage Quit Odyssey, going to make things look a little bit more difficult for the Evo squad. And with Big Tuna going down, both teams, of course, committing the reses to bringing people back. But unfortunately, Rage Quit going to be stabilizing here nicely on the point.
And although you are running an ult synergy dive, the fact of the matter is you have to dive as a unit there. And we see them getting a little bit staggered there. Wallace or 420 and Cheetah Boy playing very far defensively, while Maestro and Big Tuna getting quite aggressively. And you're looking at this halfway to your ultimates of like a minute into this round for Jelly Doodle and Tuna, and even like about a third for Space Panda and Cheetah Boy. It's not really what you want to be seeing from a combo dive. You want to be seeing a little bit better farming. And here again, we see Jelly going down very early here, puts him in a position that you don't really want to see him in at this stage in the fight.
No, absolutely not. But the front line is doing a good job. Maestro picked up a double there, but Assassin is really wreaking havoc in the back line. He picks off one in the form of Jelly Doodle, as you said, but he found another in the form of Space Panda. So the resurrection on the front line is meaning Rage Quit is looking pretty good. But unfortunately for Evo, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board here and find some way to crack open the strong Rage Quit defense.
If I'm looking at this, the composition they're playing, though, I'm thinking, maybe you tell Jelly to play a little defensively in the early stages of the fight. You think, okay, if you play to bait this Tracer comes in, tries to hack you or tries to burst your Ana, you get a hack off on that. It's an easy kill, and that gives them the space to then really be able to engage at whatever pace they want to. That's something that Evo really need to look at, because they're really struggling to get into these fights and keep their Ana alive. 50% again, 2 minutes in, that's not what you want.
It is not. Big Tuna has now built his ultimate. Maestro with the Prime Rage as well, and there we go, the opening double onto the problem children. JRV and Shadows not going to contribute anything else to this fight. They do manage to pull out the ultimate from Maestro here, so he's going to swing away. Not happy with how proceedings have gone so far and showing it now, but Fluffy makes short work of the enemy main tank, even in the Primal Rage form. But thankfully there's enough here in the tank, from Evo's point of view at least, to push through and take themselves the first point.
Looking at the ult bank of Evo, though, they actually didn't even end up having to use either of their combos. They're kind of filler ults, the Valkyrie and the Primal Rage, being all they used to take that fight. Coming to the second fight now, Odyssey are going to have to play this very carefully to make sure this isn't just a quick steamroll into point 2. And, already they're spacing out, so the Diva Bomb can't be as effective. Possibly the Blading Genji is going to struggle to, confirm his kills a little bit more. But still, this is not a good situation for Odyssey. You look at the situation, they don't have a defensive ult. They're going to have to try and use this Flux or this Pulse Bomb to really catch the Genji off guard. It's tough. It's tough for them to really go against these ultimates constructively.
They are very split though on the side of Rage Quit. That's one thing they have going for them. And as you said, Pulse Bomb finds pay dirt there. 420 gonna hit the deck nice and early, but a Nano Blade coming out from the Genji. Cheetah Boy gonna secure a couple of kills and a lot of space for Evo Esports. Bob looking down dejectedly at the ground as he was hacked up, but he is now back, but not for long, as he flies off back to wherever it is he comes from. As Fluffy though gets a return, and this is not a clean team fight from Evo, so we might see Odyssey able to come back onto point and secure themselves a full defense, and they do just that. Not even a tick secured. Only Jelly Doodle comes out of this one with an ultimate though.
Well, I think that's because Tuna's out of mech at the moment. I think once we see him die, he'll probably have that bomb on, that self-destruct online. But yeah, looking at the situation that's even find themselves in here, they used a lot of ultimates in that, or they used their Nano Blade in that fight, and although they got good value, the trade's coming back, especially losing 420 early in that fight, so you negate the res and the risk of the res. That puts them in a position where they're going to really, really struggle to get in into this fight, especially with how spaced out Odyssey are. Struggle to see them really look for this strong Diva Bomb, so they're almost going to have to bait them to point before they even look for that type of play.
I mean, look at how split their positioning are though on the side of Rage Quit Odyssey. What do you EMP if you're Jelly Doodle? You kind of have to pick a pair or two if you're going to get any value. You can't really hit everyone. This is really smart play from Rage Quit, and yeah, he goes up there, they commit the bomb, but he doesn't even stop the shield from coming out. He does end up finding Knoppies at least, or at least Big Tuna does with the self-destruct. But now Rage Quit again in the driver's seat here as they start getting reses. Kills sure coming out for Evo, but you have to feel like Rage Quit are happy with how things have gone so far, especially given the significant respawn advantage they do have. Maybe though I spoke too soon. There's still a lot of members of Evo healthy on the point, and there's a Valkyrie in over the top, so Rage Quit will come through now. Odyssey, can they touch? Oh, Trigger Happy booped back, and just as JRV picks up a very important kill onto Space Panda, Evo secures themselves a point capture with 1.5 minutes left on the clock.
As much as we talked about the EMP bomb possibly not getting the value, what it did do was it forced a lot of Odyssey back. They had to back up and be in a position where they didn't really want to be fighting, they didn't really want to be set up as a bunker, and the dive of Odyssey was able to really deny them the ability to push out from that and get more space. And especially we're looking at the Genji and the Sombra on the side of Odyssey, on the side of Evo, sorry, looking at denying that entry, denying the players that have been knocked out of position, and getting really strong picks that really secured them that fight quite effectively. Really good fight management as the later stage of the fight came out to make sure that Odyssey weren't able to get back on points. It's really good use of cooldowns, really good use of abilities to just make sure that they were able to just push them off, get the control of point, keep the control of points, and secure a minute 32 time bank. That minute mark being very important because it means that even if Odyssey push in overtime, it'll be a last chance saloon defense for them to try and make sure that they are able to win out this map.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives Evo an opportunity to at least go for a second attempt here, no matter what happens. So, Maestro and Big Tuna once again on the dive tanks. On the other side, we see Assassin JDB on the Pharah running that Pharmacy, and JRV once again on the Ashe. Jelly Doodle this time going to run his own Ashe into JRV, and Cheetah Boy on the Echo once again, a hero we've seen him be very comfortable on. So based on what you're seeing here, Blur, got to be feeling pretty good for Odyssey, how things have unfolded so far?
Yeah, given how the rhythm has gone so far, but we're seeing the Ashe instead of the Soldier. The Soldier is something that Odyssey or Evo must have picked up isn't really being effective, and the damage boost coming onto Jelly here should be quite effective in helping him counter Pharah. We see that immediately transpiring. Assassin out of the sky. No contest.
Yeah, straight away Assassin going to go down, and not in a position really where he can get resurrected. But yeah, that's a good start for Evo as they really need to burn a lot of time off Rage Quit here.
And I think that's a good position to be in, all things considered. First fight's a little bit of alt charge in the bank, and all things considered, I'd be quite happy, especially looking at how much ultimate charge Jelly Doodle and Cheetah Boy are building up quite early, and how much effect Maestro and Big Tuna are having in denying the entry of Odyssey onto this.
Big Tuna coming in with huge plays there. We saw him get that first kill onto Assassin JDB, but he followed it up by denying the resurrection out of Shadows, and immediately Evo picks up a flurry of kills following that. So Evo seem to have hit their stride a little bit here, Blur.
Yeah, and I think, you're looking at a situation where they have engaged the fight cleanly either. We look at the ultimate percentages, Trigger Happy not even at 40% of that gravitic flux, something that's been quite important to trying to just displace a couple of enemies, even if he doesn't get the kills. Whereas on the other side, we're seeing Jelly Doodle and Cheetah Boy already on their ults, Maestro already on his, with that primal that he's shown he's so effective with. And here comes Nano Boost out to really try and stop them from being able to engage again.
Yeah, this is what you want as a main tech. He can do whatever he wants. He does commit the Primal Rage now, and that buys the space for his DPS to get the picks. They picked up 2, make that 4 now as Big Tuna throws his hat in the ring as well. And Trigger Happy, the only surviving member here of Rage Quit Odyssey, but they get a little bit more out charge out of that one at least.
Yeah, and that's a good position again. We've now used 2 ults. We've used the Nano Boost, we used the Primal Rage, and now we have the Bob online. We have the Duplicate online. Something that could be absolutely devastating in the right hands. And Cheetah Boy showing that his hands have been capable at using those duplicates so far. And the Valkyrie, something that can make them more viable in the fight for longer periods of time. On the side of Odyssey, though, that Bob can be quite effective or quite crucial in making sure that they're able to just gain a little bit of footing in the space.
Well, Bob's decided he's got other plans as he goes straight off the map here, doing his best Pretz impression, perhaps, as Maestro finds a pick onto JRV. Unfortunately, this is a real tough spot for Rage Quit to play from. They're taking a lot of damage, but they haven't dropped yet, and maybe this is exactly where they want to be. Not much the dive can do in this position. I say that though, as Maestro pops his Primal Rage, charge that one up nice and quick, and he finds a pick, or at least makes a space to get Jelly Doodle to pick onto Assassin JDB, and it looks like now Rage Quit are in a really tough position, stuffed in the corner, and with the JRV under so much pressure now, he has to switch onto the Widow, but Big Tuna making sure he doesn't get to do whatever he wants. That said though, Big Tuna goes down, and now he has to fight 2 DPS all by himself, but maybe that's the space created that they need as the fight continues here towards the point. Maestro once again nano boosted up, building his way towards the 3rd Primal Rage, but he does go down, and now Rage Quit Odyssey are happy with how things have unfolded here as they can set themselves up on the point, and JRV picks himself up a double as Shadows gets rid of the last remaining Evo member, and Rage Quit, after a sloppy start, managed to secure themselves the first point.
That's a little bit of sloppy play there from Evo. Big Tuna getting really out of position and getting punished by the regrouping of Assassin JDB coming back from spawn.
Yeah.
Though looking at the state of the game, state of the fight, you'd say the first point's a little bit difficult to dive on, a little bit difficult to control that space effectively, but Evo did it really well. The second point, so much high ground, so much space that you can absolutely get these wonderful sight lines, and because you still have that Bob online, you at least have like some sort of safety nets just to lay a little bit. Oh, big pulse bomb to open it up there though for Assassin.
Wow, beautiful stuff. Gets rid of Space Panda once again, and that's a really difficult position for Evo to play from. They do have the Bob though, but JRV gets rid of the Bob Master. Jelly Doodle taken down with a nice headshot, and that means they can set themselves up apart on point. JRV gets rid of the Bob as well, just to make sure there's not that much left in the ring here for Evo Esports. Maestro, though, he's angry. He wants to make sure his team has the space to work with on the point, but his team are dropping like flies regardless of what he's doing, unfortunately. And it looks like Rage Quit Odyssey are getting set up to do a much faster cap here, picking off people one by one. It's just the Mercy and the Diva left on the point. He does have the ultimate though, but I think there's more than enough shields in play here to prevent any of the Rage Quit members from going down. Space Panda comes in with the Wraith form on the Moira, but she's not going to last long, and neither is Jelly Doodle. Maestro has returned, but he's taken down immediately. Rage Quit are doing a good job of getting rid of the members as they come in, but Evo, it just doesn't stop people in all the time. The Adaptive Circus onto Cheetah Boy, gonna prevent that pulse ball. Find Space Panda before she can contribute. Cheetah Boy taken down, and with that, the May, beautiful halt from Knop is going to prevent the May from getting any time in there, but they did manage to burn down enough time to even things up.
And we have to be looking at the side of Odyssey here and saying, the switch onto the Widowmaker, although it's a little bit of a difficult one to play against the dive, the distance he was able to hold and the absolute lack of awareness Evo showed to the fact that there was a Widowmaker in play, gave him so much value. JRV picking up Space Panda in 2 separate fights, putting a lot of pressure onto that enemy backline. We saw him take out Jelly Doodle in the early stage of that fight, and it's a situation that you have to be aware of that asset. The fact that Widowmaker is such a high pick potential hero means you can't just let them play it. Looking at Odyssey, JRV, a very capable hit scan player, but on the side of if you're looking at the other opponents in this division, you're expecting them to come up against the likes of 2CP, the likes of ATK, players like 20 and Aquatic, who are really, really going to put a lot of pressure on them with those heroes. So, looking at how this game is going to develop further from here, they're coming out with the Brawl again, something we haven't seen be entirely effective, and. It's a little bit of they're trying to make sure they get a tick on points, but even then, wouldn't they be looking at something like a Symmetra, well known for its kind of applicability on this point?
So it's time to pull out the May randomly, right?
Yeah, the May is still a very impactful hero though, and something that could give them a little bit of space in isolating individual parts of this Odyssey composition. But again, they're going to struggle to get 2 points. They're going to take so much poke damage, especially considering they're running the Zarya instead of the Sigma here.
Oh, well, there immediately we see the plan with the May. They did have an idea with that hero. It's going to allow them to move through towards point, take a nice flanking angle, and allow them to get set up where they want to get set up. There's a Torbjorn on the side of Rage Quit Odyssey, which I think you just mentioned. So Assassin JDB gonna be trying to set up that crossfire. Oh, that's a good halt. Isolated on the point is Big Tuna, but now they're getting aggressive. Courtesy of 420's speed boost here, but Cheetah Boy goes down before he can use his ice block, so that extra HP not gonna help them. But Maestro, he's got HP to spare, and he finds everybody. Get out of my game. Maestro singing a song of death to Rage Quit Odyssey.
Maestro doing very traditional Maestro things there, coming out with a gigantic shatter to open up this point for Evo. A slow engagement and even rockier little start for them there, but absolutely well maintained there from the side of Evo Esports. Now coming into this next fight with the Coalescence as a result of the tremendous amounts of damage they were able to heal out in that fight, but not very much else. And that's something you're going to have to look at, that they're going to have to do a lot of damage very early if they're going to get value. And I'm still surprised we're not seeing something like a Reaper pairing with this May here to make sure they're absolutely aggressive here. But coming in, they got the May, they got the reverse May on the side of Odyssey here. Oh no, that's not what you want.
Immediately Shadows gets rebuffed. Space Panda had popped the Coalescence though, so that is a problem. And with Big Tuna going down on the point, not able to get the Graviton Surge up, Maestro gonna hit the deck as well. So Evo might have enough time to get a body in here. And yeah, Big Tuna going to switch onto the ball as 420 lurks in the wings here. But he's been spotted out by JRV. He's going to try and make sure he doesn't get there. But enough heroes here coming onto the point. Big Tuna is touching. So overtime will tick over here for Evo Esports. But JRV gets executed by 420's Bob as Assassin finds a kill into Big Tuna. So it's just Maestro coming in. He gets a charge, gets taken down before he gets anywhere. Trigger happy with a celebratory gravitic flux there, and Evo not able to cap the second point, but Rage Quit with work to do as they look towards their next attack.
That said, you were looking at the time bank they started with, 1 minute 32 seconds. You'd say that's a pretty good push. A point in them with a minute and 32, especially considering they held Odyssey on first point for 3.5 minutes. That's something they can really lean on and say, okay, we're comfortable with this. We think, we run something similar to what we ran the first time, or we lean onto a bunker that's a little bit safer, and we think we can win out this game. Start to claw our way back into the series. Start to plant the seeds of that reverse sweep that we're hoping.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just a reminder before you carry on, we are looking down the barrel of a draw here, or at least a potential draw. And if that does happen, we will head over to our tiebreaker map, which will be Oasis? Yeah, it's Oasis. So our tiebreaker map will be Oasis if it does come down to that. So we might have action no matter who wins this match, or rather, if Odyssey aren't able to push all the way through. But they have to get to this first point first.
Yeah, and looking what they're coming in with here, they're coming in with a brawl of their own here. A Sombra? Hello? A Sombra? This is very, very questionable. No, Widowmaker. JLV,
In a minute and a half to build an EMP, it's pretty tough.
Yeah. But looking at what they're coming in with here, they're going to be coming in to try and brawl and gain space quite effectively, but also give JRV the space to try and look for those picks. From the side of Evo here, you're really thinking we need to control the space very effectively. We need to make sure that JRV isn't able to assert that dominance. And Maestro, if he doesn't see JRV early in this fight here, it might give JRV a lot of space to really look for that. And that's just a lot of pressure. You can see
he's looking for him, but he didn't find what he was looking for. And now he's moved back with Jelly. He says, don't worry about that one, dog. I got this thing covered. He takes down one, gets another, and Cheetah Boy gonna follow up with a kill onto Shadow. So Knoppers, although he gets the kill onto Maestro, get the DMAC onto Big Tune as well. So a couple of kills, and with the respawn advantage, Rage Quit might be able to get back in here before things really get set up again.
With the late resets of the May there as well. Big Tuna still not resetting though. Very surprising to see him stay in the out of mech position, out of the mech diva here, and that's not really what you would like to see from the off tank of Evo here, because it's going to make Maestro's job 10 times harder, and it's going to make Space Panda's positioning job 10 times harder, because it means that they don't have that damage mitigation on the Widowmaker.
Oh! As you say that, the Widowmaker makes quick work of Jelly Doodle, reprising that kill that he got previously, but it's brought back to life, and oh man, the ultimate's coming out from Rage Quit, or rather from Evo, is going to help them secure a couple of quick kills here and stamp their authority on proceedings once again. This is how it was supposed to go. This is how the script was written, but Rage Quit managed to stop Evo from winning the previous two maps, but they will not stop them in this case. So Evo will bring us up to a 2-1 here.
And that's, again, really good play there from Evo to play what they knew what they were wanted to play against the bunker a little bit better. We saw the Soldier not be really effective with that dive, because it's really effective when you're playing the dive, but playing versus the bunker, you need some damage that can get past those shields. And that's what the Ashe offers you. It offers punishment. It offers that big AoE damage. So she can punish players that come out of position. She can really start to get some really good AoE damage to build up that bob. A really impactful ult in its own right, but Maestro, the real star of the show there, it has to be said. Really great primal rages we've seen throughout the series so far, but that one right at the end of this Hanamura map, helping clutch this game out for Evo Esports and put them in a position where going into Blizzard World, they're really going to be hopeful of bringing this series back.
I'm back, don't worry. It's going to be setting them up nicely towards that reverse sweep, as you say. But now let's shift gears a little bit. Let's look towards Rage Quit Odyssey. We've obviously spent a lot of time looking at Evo and what they need to do, but now the shoe's on the other foot. Do you think Odyssey need to change up a lot here, or do you think it's just a minor mistakes? I mean, they did almost win that map. It's just a difference, of meters as opposed to miles. And do you think they need to change a lot here, or do you think it's just fixing up a few small things?
I think for Odyssey here, they're going to have to find a convenient...
Oh, Blur. We've lost Blur. It was just about
between putting themselves in where they're not comfortable. They're
nope, we're not getting.
Am I here?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Now we can.
Is it a South African cast if I don't DC?
If you're casting, then I'd be amazed.
Okay, but if we're looking at Odyssey, we're looking at a team that, at this point in time, they need to stick to things that they need to be playing the comfort zones that they show that they were able to exploit so well. Blizzard World, probably a map that plays into the ability for them to play that Tracer that they were so strong on in the first couple of maps really effectively. But, same thing. They're going to have to really make it work against Evo, who seems to have solidified a little bit more, seem to be playing in positions that are a little bit safer, seem to be considering the way they engage a bit better than they were in the first two maps at the very least.
Yeah.
For Odyssey, that Widowmaker showed that they can have effect, but it's a very, it's feast or famine. If you're not able to hit those shots, you're sitting there shooting shields or shooting a wall. That's not really what you needed to see there from JRV. It was really like at the end of the game, they're a Hail Mary to try and bring his team back into it, where we could see a lot more consistency coming out of something like a Reaper, especially against the Winston. So looking at the side of Evo here, whether they're going to lean on what they've played so far, which is that really kind of aggressive dive, that really kind of like, they're trying to control space quite aggressively. They're trying to, get in and stop RQ being able to set up. It's something that they're really going to have to consider. Is it working? Is it putting us in the position to win the game? Are we the team that's going to be winning out this game if we're playing this dive? Or are they going to have to switch to something that's a little bit more consistent? Bunker with the Ash, with the Echo, something that can spam out, put them in a position that they're not really worrying about so much. Is there going to be a flanker versus how much easier it is going to be to shut down the advance of the enemy team.
Now, dive not really that common on first point Blizzard World. The bunker or the double shield tends to get a lot more mileage on this point and on this map. So, do you think we're going to see Evo come out with that here, or do you think they're going to keep trying for the double shield?
I don't think we'll see a dive coming out here. I think, first point's especially really, really difficult to pull it off. And second point, you have that little bit of high ground, but still, it's not completely conducive to a strong dive. The third point especially is going to be the worst point to really run that dive on in a defensive capacity. So coming into this map, we're probably going to see a double barrier from both sides. And historically, this has been a map that Odyssey have been able to take off Evo. So we're hoping we're going to see whether Evo have learned from their previous mistakes, are able to solidify and go forward here, or whether Odyssey are going to continue the trend here. The map that they picked up before could be the map that wins them the series.
Yeah, could well be, but they've got a long way to go before we get there. We've got a lot of compositions to choose, and the one they've chosen to go for first is Assassin on the, assuming they do end up coming out the doors of this, the double shield once again. Don't fix what ain't broke. Assassin going to be running this Widowmaker, once again, and JRV again leaning on the Sombra a little bit. He liked what he saw Evo do on this hero, decides he wants to do the same. Fluffy bringing out the Zen here, might end up switching, and as I say that, Assassin, you know what, never mind, let's look at the defense, right? They're running the double shield. Cheetah Boy on the Hanzo again, didn't work out for them on Ilios, so we're gonna have to see how they manage to make it work here.
That's a little bit of a double sniper here, and you're thinking maybe they have a little bit of shield break. Not sure how it plays out against the Zenyatta. On the side of Odyssey, however, you're seeing a Sombra Tracer. A Sombra Tracer is something that's very traditionally run with dive, so to see it run with the bunker here, quite surprising, and maybe they're trying to look and just try and punish the players that are going to be kind of spread out.
Yeah, he was just
Okay, so they're leaning on this Tracer Ash again. So it puts a little bit of pressure on Evo to be a little bit smart with their positioning and to really play this shield break strategy well. Especially considering they don't have that Zenyatta, they might struggle with the shield break. The Zenyatta adds a lot of extra damage to this composition, but the pick potential from playing the Mercy with the Ash is probably something they're going to be leaning on, and especially considering how much they've struggled with the Tracer to this point in the game so far, is something they're going to be.
Cheetah Boy finds the pick onto Assassin, makes sure he can't do anything, and Jelly Doodle gonna do him one better and take down his opposite number as well. So both DPS going down for Rage Quit here, and they are in a very awkward position.
Yeah, that's not where you want to be stuck. I think at this point you kind of just have to decide to decide to just reset cleanly. Getting stuck in this position is really dangerous, but I suppose if the Tracer can get into position a little bit uncontested, put a little pressure out. Yeah, he's looking for Cheetah Boy now.
What's the deal?
It's the Vendetta match now.
Let's see if he does manage to get the better of the enemy Hanzo. So far, not able to do so, but he has managed to buy his team a little bit of space as Evo backs up here. Rage Quit gonna fill the void that they have left, and put the pressure onto Evo just a little bit. Jellydoodle on that high ground though is a real nuisance, but Fluffy finds the kill, and Jeremy makes sure that there's no resurrection anywhere to be found as 420 goes down as well. So Rage Quit gonna set themselves up on the point now, right on in the front as Fluffy finds himself another, what am I saying? The DPS, the supports that are hitting the kills. My brain just got fried there. I'm not used to seeing Zenyatta, and I'm not feeling very tranquil right now, you know?
Yeah, but looking at the way the Zen was played there, it was really, really well played. It's the type of outcome you want of an impact player like Fluffy on your team. Jellydoodle getting a nice pick there to try and just take a little bit of the pressure off, let Evo regroup cleanly and get into this fight. But, you know, they're going to have to consider how risky do we play against a player like Fluffy. Fluffy's so impactful in these fights. And, you know, on a Zen, a hero, a signature hero for him, and you're really going to have to see them play a little bit smarter with their positioning to try and make sure that they don't get punished by this player.
Yeah, they're going to have to think about how they approach things here. Rage Quit moving the card forward here and now. Oh, the Gravitic Flux just barely catches the 2 tanks on the front line. Breaks some knees, but not some heads as Fluffy picks up the first kill onto Space Panda. Once again, the main healer going down, or rather the flex support going down. But she is brought back to life by 420 on the Mercy. So back up to a full fighting complement on the side of Evo. Here's Rage Quit. Continues to look for a way forward. Knoppies gets rid of Jellydoodle's Bob, so not much value out of that ultimate. But they're not really getting that much motion on the card anymore. So as far as the defense is concerned, they could sit here forever, but not if Big Tuna goes down like that. Assassin, once again, the can opener for his team, opening up towards the squishy insides of the Evo squad, and Rage Quit, they're going to take advantage of that nicely, pick up a few kills. Fluffy will go down, but the cart is not being stopped, and Rage Quit going to roll on forward once again.
And there we see again, you know, we see from Rage Quit here, they're making good use of this Tracer composition. They're making good use of just being able to get in behind and do some damage. And you have to be thinking, at what point do we really try and focus on this Tracer? Do we swap to a Brigitte, or do we swap to a Torbjorn? Something that can really just check this Tracer's flanks, make it a little bit more difficult to play out of. The Dragon Strike being online on the side of Evo means that we're unlikely to see that switch in this fight. We might see something of a pool Dragons in this fight, especially considering we have a couple of ults online. They might be a little bit hesitant to throw out like just yet.
Yeah, Shadows starts things off with the Amp Matrix, but that is why you pick the Zen, to counter exactly that, and he does so perfectly. Fluffy coming in clutch for his team there with the Transcendence, and Trigger Happy pays him back by getting the kill onto Maestro here. Big Tuna gonna be put on his back by an Accretion as the team continues to move forward. Again, Evo not able to mount a defense here. If this continues, Rage Quit are gonna set up an alarming time on a map that we don't often see finished, as Space Panda comes back through on the ball. She gets taken down straight away once again, but she really didn't have much choice but to get on the point. Big Tune is back on the ball. We've seen him do good work on that hero in this match, but JRV finds Maestro once again. Trigger Happy with his ultimate. Does he find any kills? Yes, he does, and that's going to secure a lot more than just a few kills. It might secure Evo, or rather Rage Quit Odyssey, the point here. Space Panda has returned on the Moira, but she'll be taken down alongside Big Tuna, and Rage Quit Odyssey get a very, very quick cap on Blizzard World.
And that's just not what you want to be seeing from the side of Evo here. They sequence their ults really badly in that fight, especially knowing that Fluffy would have that Transcendence online. You have to be considering that as something that's going to be used to counter either the Flux or the Pool Dragons. And to use both at the same time into the Transcendence just means that Fluffy just gets additional value. He must have gotten so much healing out from that ult. And that's just a situation that you really, really don't want to be seeing, you know. And then on top of that, to then lose Maestro immediately afterwards and lose all that ground where you had the ultimate advantage, you had the strength in that opening stage of that fight. You know, you needed to sequence a little bit better. Assassin showing again how valuable that Tracer has been to them. And if we're Evo here, if we're looking at what Evo is doing and what they're trying to, like, what they've been trying to accomplish, you have to say they're not being successful. 2 minutes 58 on the time bank is an absolutely mammoth time. It's such a big time, and for a team to get that kind of time on a map like Blizzard World, which you know, we talk about this first point, it's a lot of space to try and bridge to get onto point, and they were able to take it because Evo weren't able to just pressure out those tanks and those supports that were left over. You know, we look at that second point, and that second point, lots of places where the payload can stop. We see it stop before the third point, lots on this map. And then that third point, an absolute mountain to climb, and they were able to just push it with absolute, almost no contest, and that's just not what you want to be seeing.
Yeah, absolutely not. But from RageCup's point of view, this is exactly what they want to be seeing. They know they've got some room to make mistakes here if it does come down to that. They've got a lot of time to work with going forward. Now, we do see the dive here once again for Evo. What we saw them do on the first point, I agree, didn't work because they move forward once again. The damage coming through. They're taking a long time to get set up here. I don't know what the plan is. I think they want to get around the back maybe, but it seems like they're not. Yeah, okay, they're going to go around the back here and try and get on the back line, but they've been spotted out by Assassin. JRV not going to be put under pressure, and that initial dive, not finding anything. Bichuna, though, getting aggressive onto JRV. He doesn't find the pick, though. Good work from Fluffy and Shadows. Going to make sure the Ash is able to exit here safely. They do get set up on the point, though, Evo, so Maestro going in over the top, putting the damage down and building himself up towards her Primal Rage, but they're not getting any picks. In fact, it's JRB, or rather, Assassin JDB, who gets the first pick once again onto Space Panda Blur. I think they need to put more emphasis on protecting the main support, or the flex support, rather, because she's getting dropped very early on in all of these team fights. As I say that, though, a few return kills do come out here, and there is a pharmacy in the sky with not much to respond as JRV goes down, but Evo going to go back here and reset up.
Yeah, looking at the ult bank online though, however, you got that Nano online. You can see that to be very effective on the Winston, on the Pharah even, or even on the Tracer. You know, you've got that Barrage coming online, you've got that Pulse Bomb coming online, all things that could be really effective if they're able to shape the fight effectively here.
Yes, they could be. Maestro, he does get that nano and he does put the damage down, but Big Tuna gets dropped out of the make, but they have picked up a tick here, so this team fight not for naught as far as Evo is concerned. Assassin in the background, he goes for some fancy plays with the Pulse Bomb, but he doesn't find quite what he's looking for, but he does buy some space for his team, but JRV, or Cheetah Boy rather, with that Barrage, does take down Shadows, but gets killed in return. Maestro, the only one left on his team, no Primal Rage for him, and he does get taken down, so tick secured for Evo here, but a lot of work still to do.
A tick secured for Evo at the cost of 3 ultimates, that has to be said as well. You know, we saw the rally, the bongo come outside of Odyssey as well, but you know, it's 2 minutes down on first point. You'll be very happy if your Odyssey is sitting with a nearly 3-minute time bank if you manage to eke out 3 minutes on point 1. You know, it's going to be a really difficult like bridge for Evo to even climb at this stage, and like making it harder for themselves by just pouring ultimates into fights that really they're playing a little bit unfavorably isn't really the way you're going to see them accomplish that their win conditions, I don't think.
Ooh, Pulse Bomb goes out, Jelly Doodle not finding anything. He does go to the lamp, but JRV does what he's there to do. He gets rid of Cheetah Boy on the Pharah. Now the Gravitic Flux prevents the resurrection, or tries to at least, but who cares as the rest of Evo hits the deck here, and again, minute left on the clock. This is crunch time.
This is crunch time, and you have to be worried for Evo at this point here, because even if they manage to capture this point and push the rest of the map, they're going to have a far inferior time to Odyssey. They're going to be in a situation that they don't want to be, and at the end of the map, if they don't manage to secure this, and with time, they're going to be in a situation where they're not even going to be able to get a chance to fight out for the win. So it's really just such a difficult situation that they put themselves in here, and we have to be asking, are they getting the best value that they could be getting from all their picks? Are they getting the best value from this Ana, considering she's being picked up by the Tracer so frequently? Are they getting the best value from their Tracer, considering she seems to be getting shut down by Trigger Happy's presence in this fight a lot? Are they getting the best value from their Diva, where their Diva is getting demeched so much? It's just a situation where there's so many mistakes happening here that the comp could work conceptually, but it's not. And it's so risky to run this into this double barrier, which is so much safer.
Well, they're going in again with the nano boost onto Maestro. This bomb finds two. Big Tuna finally opening things up for Evo Esports. They commit everything, though. There was a Primal Rage in there. There was a Rocket Barrage, and they still haven't killed everyone. It's just Fluffy left on the point, though, and he does go down. Assassin now back in the mix, but immediately taken out of it once again. And Evo do secure themselves a point, but at what cost, Blur?
Well, looking at what they're going to be going into this next fight for, both sides have their pulse bombs online, and Fluffy has that amplification matrix. Might not be as effective as you would expect in the mirror matchup, but coming onto the second point, Dive is going to have a little bit of an easier time finding a little bit of space, finding a little bit of a way to engage these fights. But as I say that, Maestro going down from a little bit of sloppy play. Where is his team? Why is he engaging so early on?
He is way ahead of his team, and Big Tuna was demeched as well and is now running back, likely to jump off the map. And that is a huge time sink as well. But I mean, this is free God push for Evo at the moment, at least.
Yeah, but again, free card push up until you have to wait 10 seconds. It's just, they're taking their assets and throwing them. They take the second they get an advantage, they're just not making anything of it. They had the ult advantage on that third point, and they had the space advantage now, and they're just not making anything of it. They're getting ahead of themselves. They're making illogical decisions and putting themselves at a big disadvantage against this Odyssey team who seem very comfortable in the way they're playing, especially with the ults they now have online. We talked about 2 ults being online, it's now 4. It's now a bob that they're just going to make it impossible to push this cart for a little bit.
Yeah, cart will not move here. A nice pulse bomb, doesn't find anything as Fluffy puts down his lamp to prevent any of his own teammates from going down, and I mean, time burning away here, Blur. A minute left on the clock.
It's just, you have to be seeing a little bit more from Evo here. We have to be seeing them start to get this card towards the second point. You don't want to give Odyssey 2 fights here, because if they get 2 fights, it's a situation that they could very capably win this game without them even having breached third point.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Evo not likely to win this one. Maybe with that Res onto Maestro, that might buy them the room they need to get the kills they need to take the team fight they need to push the point where they're needed to go, but it's not looking good for them. But Cheetah Boy, he presses Q and takes down a couple of heroes. Space Panda drops in the backline, but you'd have to think that will be enough to push them through towards the second point, but it's not going to be a free take, I don't think.
I don't think Odyssey will be necessarily too worried about it, considering they were able to pick up that Ana, but they have to get this point now if you're Evo. Otherwise, here it goes. There we go. They're on this point with a chance here, but it has to be perfect. Everything from here on out has to be perfect for this team.
This is not your time.
And again, we could be looking down the barrel of the draw. Even if they do complete, you'd have to be thinking it will be in overtime, unless, like you say, they execute perfectly. But I mean, they'd have to execute almost more than perfectly. They'd have to rely on so many mistakes from Rage Quit for them not to, burn a minute and a half off the point here. But they do have 5 ultis, so even just winning in the first place is going to be tough.
Yeah, I think maybe this first fight here, they're going to have to try and bait out a couple of ultis and get a hard push, but even that, it's tough. This is a tough situation to be in if you're Evo Esports, and considering how much time has been whittled off the bank, this is not the situation you would have wanted to be in.
Yeah, absolutely not. I thought I heard a stick there, but nobody went down, so I'm guessing some life-saving maneuvers there, perhaps hit the shield, as now Evo moving forward. They have Swish Maestro onto the Rhino, so he's going to get nice and aggressive with this nano boost. Can he find any picks? Trigatti with the defensive ultimate gets rid of Maestro in a matter of moments. He didn't do anything in that team fight. 3 ultis, 4 ultis coming out for the side of Rage Quit Odyssey, but they put in a significant amount of defense there and stopped Maestro from getting any ult charge, and 30 seconds left on the clock. Evo backs against the wall here.
Yeah, and now not even the Ashe here, the McCree coming in to try and open up a little space for them. I'm still so shocked that they're deciding to run this McCree against Bunker. Not even the Bunker here. I suppose. Here we go. Eat my words.
Well, I mean, we spoke about how they have to deal with the Tracer, and McCree pretty good at that, perhaps what he's best known for, and he finds one, finds another now as Fluffy goes down as well. So this could be Evo's this could be Evo's moment to push forward here and cap the point, as Maestro sitting up on the front line here, swinging away, building it up towards that ulti. There are going to be respawns coming in for Rage Quit Odyssey, so they will have to take one more full manned fight. We'll have to see if they have the means to do that. Knopis now has switched onto the Reinhardt as well. That's a big shadow. He finds 2. Is the follow-up there, or is that the perfect lamp? Exactly what this team needed. Fluffy keeps his team alive. Evo dropped 2 immediately. This Gravitic Flux not able to find any kills, but did it do the damage they needed? 420 with a big shadow. 420 with a big sound barrier, but a big shadow in return, and an even bigger pulse bomb as Assassin JDB sends us home with the triple.
And I mean, I think that has to be the story of this game. This Tracer has just been so effective, and Evo hasn't come answer for it throughout the entire match. And that's just the story. Odyssey able to play their game and play very confidently with this double barrier and this Ashe Tracer comp. And even when it looked like they might be starting to let it slip at the end here, out they came. They just backed off, knew what they wanted to do, and out they came for the win.
I'm impressed. I'm shocked. Rage Quit flipping the script here. We usually see these 2 teams play. It's usually Evo coming out with a 3-1 victory. That's what we've seen on the previous 2 occasions that we've seen these 2 teams play. But this time, Rage Quit, they showed up to play here. Pret's not in the lineup. Knopis did a really good job of filling those big boots. And unfortunately, Evo weren't able to withstand the might of Rage Quit Odyssey on this equation. So again, power rankings thrown out the windows. I have no idea where teams stack up in this Premier Division or this Elite Division, Blur, but we're gonna have to wait and see how things unfold. But before we get there, before we get anywhere else, Blur, you have to give me a player of the match. I think I know what we're gonna end up with here.
I mean, if you're looking at Odyssey, you have to talk about two standout. Really, you have to talk about Shadows and you have to talk about Assassin JDB.
Mm-hmm.
Tracer, a permanent thorn in their side, made it really difficult for them to really get the work they wanted done. Put a lot of pressure on the flex supports of Odyssey of Evo, and made it really difficult for them to actually take an advantage in that game. And Shadows, made it really difficult for Evo to pull off their dive. You saw when they leaned on that Mercy instead, they looked a lot weaker. But that Brigitte really put a lot of solidity in their squad and made their defenses look a lot stronger, especially on this Blizzard World map and on the Dorado map. He looked immensely strong on that Brigitte and making sure that Evo weren't able to take the initiative in those fights. So it has to be one of those two, and I think considering how much impact he had on this game, it has to be Assassin JDB.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would have accepted you giving it to Shadows, but I would have been shocked because I think Assassin was just a thorn in Evo's side today. He was what Evo needed to deal with and what they ended up not being able to deal with. That Tracer was integral to Rage Quit Odyssey's style of play on this occasion, and Assassin, of course, executing that to perfection. Shout out to all of the members of Rage Quit Odyssey. This is a win they can be really happy with, an upset win that they deserve. They've been putting up some really good performances recently, taking maps of most of the teams they've been playing. So impressive, and this is the payoff for that kind of upwards trend. And yeah, Knumpis, like I said, played really well. Trigger Happy as well. On the other side, we have we see Space Panda again with big grenades, but unfortunately getting picked off too much. And Maestro did his best on the front line, but just didn't seem to have it together with his team today on a lot of occasions. So unfortunate there, but we will be getting an interview here with Assassin JDB, the man of the hour. I think we'll drop down to the channel and meet him there.
I think we will.
He is. Hello, sorry. Okay, so as we wait for the teams, of course, Blur, you'll get to ask the first question. There he is, the man of the hour, Assassin JDB. First off, congrats on the win and congrats on the man of the match.
Thank you.
I mean, that must be a really good big result for you guys to pick up coming into this division. We look at the division and we see possibly a stronger division than we saw last leg, especially considering last leg we had the side of Ironic Overdogs dropping out. Was Eclipse was that they ended up being called. So, coming into this game, there must have been a couple of stresses and a couple of worries about how you were going to maintain your elite division space, considering the results of last leg. So, how have you guys approached this result, knowing how it ended up previously?
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, we've played against Evo before, and it's been tough games, obviously. And I think the most important thing to us is this night specifically is we went in with solid, confidence, and we knew that we could win, and we just did our best, and yeah, it worked out in the end.
Yeah, definitely worked out at the end. Can't argue with that. Talk to us a little bit about your strategic approach to this one. You ended up playing a Tracer a lot. Is that something you've been leaning on in your scrims and
yeah,
matches?
we have been leaning towards the Tracer in the past, I'd say 2 weeks we've been working on it. Feels very effective, especially with the Sigma Orisa and the Orisa combo pool, just to mess with their backline and put pressure on them. So yeah, also I enjoy Tracer a lot, so going well for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody will complain having to play too much Tracer.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, coming into the first map though, you were hit with a little bit of a speed bump coming in against the Orisa ball bunker that Evo came out with. How did you guys, come out from that round, where it was really difficult to try and find your bearings and really start to impose yourself on the game after that?
Yeah, so I think after that first round, we sort of talked about it quickly, what went wrong and how we could work on it, and sort of pinpointed the couple issues that we needed to work on, and from there we just pushed forward. So yeah, but the Hammond was very painful, and the Lucio in the back line, putting pressure on our tanks.
Yeah, so going forward, you guys have quite a few matches left. Who are you most afraid to face, and who are you most looking forward to face coming up?
It's sad. I would have said Evo is the most exciting team I wanted to play against, considering our past, but I guess a little bit frightened for all the teams, but bring it on.
Bring it on. That's a good shout. You guys have played? Who have you played so far?
I can't remember. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
They've played Snorlax, Kintsugi,
Yes, Kintsugi was last week.
and I think that's it so far.
Yeah, I think it was just those two. That was correct. Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions from you, Blue?
I mean, not so much. Congratulations on your performance in this match. It was a really, really good performance, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you, and thank you to the casters, and we'll play Evo again.
No problem. So that brings us to the end of proceedings here. For the most part, just a few more odds and ends to wrap up, and that means, Assassin, we have to know, where can we find you online?
Geez, I actually have no social media at the moment. I have to work on that,
Yeah.
It's a big yikes, yeah.
When you're done here, go and make a Twitter account, and then you can never tweet
no,
them
definitely.
if you choose to. But of course, Evo Esports, you can find them on Twitter at Evo Esports ZA. Give them a follow. The losing team tonight, but a strong team, and a team we're likely to see more of before the stage is over. Of course, Rage Quit Odyssey is at at RQ_Odyssey on Twitter, and I think the org is at Rage Quit ZA on Twitter.
Yeah, that's correct.
So you can give them all a follow there for all of those. Blur, you stepped in here at a moment's notice, of course, filling into altruism. You could not be with us on this occasion. Where can we find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at blur_RSA. I tweet multitudes of nonsense.
I think that's true of all of us. So that's where we can find Blur. Our production today brought to you as ever by the wonderful The Peach today. All of our beautiful overlays and such done by him. So please go give him a follow on Twitter at The Peach today, and a follow on Twitch as well. The Twitch today as well over there. He streams occasionally. He's been streaming more recently. Did I say Twitch today? Everything is there. If you can't find someone, just put Zere at the end of the name. You'll probably locate them that way. But yeah, that is The Peach today. It does all our production. My name, of course, has been Sun Phoenix at Sun Phoenix on Twitter, SUNPHEONYX. So you can follow me. I haven't been tweeting much recently, but I do occasionally tweet about things related to gaming and South African Overwatch. And speaking of South African Overwatch, you can follow at ZA Overwatch on Twitter for all of your local Overwatch needs, and follow us on Discord as well, the Cowser Discord channel, which you can find in chat. There's a link, I'm sure. Last and certainly not least, perhaps even last and most, is ATK at ATK_arena on Twitter, and ATK_zone, as you know, on Twitch. That is for all ATK related things. They do a lot of tournaments, and of course they have a lot of teams in a lot of different games. On Sunday, in fact, we will be seeing the ATK Overwatch on squad going up against ADG Overdogs, or Snorlax rather.
Snorlax.
Oh, that team has changed its name many times. That should be a fun game. What seems to be our two top teams in the league at the moment. So it should be an interesting team to watch, and we'll have to wait and see if anybody can stand up to the mighty ATK. Or if it's going to be more of what we've seen in the past from them. But that should be a lot of fun, guys. Please tune in on Sunday. It'll be myself and Blur once again. We'll see you then.
Yeah. Siege. Riley. Taz. Yeah. Set me free and give me death, there ain't no other choices. When I lay down and go to sleep, I keep on hearing voices. Little whispers in my head, man, is you fake or loyal? Find no water, death is sign, baby, pick your poison. These little demons living underneath my bed, creeping. Know the real monster lives above them all, sleeping. That subtle breathing in your closet every single evening. Thought you never see me again, looks can be deceiving. When they hear the sound of the drum, they'll be saying, oh Lord, here they come. Yeah, here we come.
We take play seriously. That's why ATK chooses Omen by HP and Windows 10.
Here we come.